So the title and thumbnail of this video are slightly misleading. This isn't a top 10 favourite movies list, it's more just 10 films that I really admire that I don't think enough people on YouTube are talking about. So this is more of like a movie recommendations list. I'll give a quick review on them and then move on so that you can all go about your day. And I'm not going to include films that I've already talked about in videos, so no Pink Flamingos or F for Fake, because you can just go watch these videos where I go a bit more in depth. So, without further ado, let's start with Robert Altman is one of the greats. He has brought us tenderness from Three Women and excitement from Nashville, but his slow noir The Long Goodbye is my personal favourite. Following P.I. Philip Marlowe in a devolving society of crime and demoralisation of the people he thought he knew and trusted, The Long Goodbye lets its theme sit in the back as the mystery and sombre humour take centre stage. Elliot Gould's leading performance has received endless praise as a greatest of all time. His effortless action and ability to do everything so seamlessly and casually, while remaining true to the character, is beyond what people thought acting was capable of. The ending is a payoff that makes everything worth it, as all the pieces align and we are left with a grin of optimism on our face that aforementioned devolving society is worth saving. It is also so goddamn funny. From one crime film to another, it is said that Akira Kurosawa would sit in his living room dreaming up shots. Well, it's clear as daylight that he used every single one of them on this movie. Kurosawa's masterpiece, High and Low, treats the audience with one of the most gripping internal conflicts to be put to screen, as the Admiral King Gondo has to put his money where his mouth is when his chauffeur's son is kidnapped in place of his own. The film's first hour is essentially one long debate between all the key characters, fighting an invisible force that feels so intimidating despite being unseen. The second half is a wild goose chase that leaves the feeling of existential dread, as it is truly impossible to find a needle in the haystack. Kurosawa lets his directing mastery unfold as he grips you by the neck and holds you on the screen for 2.5 hours. His character and camera work have never been stronger, and this is his best film. I don't want to hear about Seven Samurai. This is his best film. Like, shut up. The scariest thing is living in a reality that doesn't favour yourself. David Lynch puts that idea to the test with Mulholland Drive. His unnerving direction brings LA's dark underworld to life in a flowing way, like the movie just appeared and was meant to be. The mystery behind the main character's relationship is terrifying and welcoming, which makes the movie surprisingly more erotic than you'd expect from a concept like this. For a story about how unfair the world is, it uses love and romance in one of the most creative ways yet. But why am I trying to understand this movie? It's way too big of a film to understand. It's something all artists strive for, something that no one else can make. Only David Lynch can pull it off, and only David Lynch can make it as mysterious and sexy as it is. I don't want to tell you what it's about. I want you to find that out yourself. Go and watch this movie. You won't regret it. Who doesn't love a beautifully crafted world of magic and wonder? Guillermo Del Toro's dark and lavishly constructed Pan's Labyrinth bridges the worlds between real world that has been struck by civil war and the world of a child's imagination, in which they aren't undermined by cruel stepfather, but are the rulers of a gorgeous world of fauns, imps, and comically large frogs. The film's slow and graceful first act make the way for a hyper-violent, chaotic second half that let the brutality of the real world bleed into the fantasy as the lines begin to blur. What the lead character wants and gets becomes unreachable, and what light she does find shows that the film has faith in humanity, and that the world we wish to escape to are not always better than the one we leave behind. One day, Del Toro will make his all-time masterpiece. I swear to God, this guy will make his Parasite. But for now, we have this, and it's good enough for a lifetime. Nothing ever happens in Brighton. Well, except for this. Quadrophenia is one of the most accurate portrayals of adolescence in film. The demand for freedom and defiance of authority is felt the whole way through as our hero fights and looks hopelessly for the rampant and chaos that he wishes for in the world. The modern rockers fight is a perfect setting for this theme, as it is a symbol of violence in adolescence and the pent-up aggression that can burst out. The characters are shameless and act like they own the world, which is one of the most real character portraits I've ever seen in film. The carelessness for staying in the line is never held on as we in the audience mimic the characters who only look forward, and the character who holds on to the past is left behind. I haven't met a single person who has seen this one, but it is truly spectacular, and I definitely need to go rewatch it. I'm gonna go do that now. Who knew David Bowie was such a great character actor? For such a cold and one-track-minded character, he brings him to life in a sympathetic light that shows how fragile the alien really is. Aliens are something we can never understand. We can never understand what it's like to be inhuman. So we use aliens to understand what we really are. The human characters are equal part villainous and equal part admirable. The relationship between the two leads is never not felt, and the slow detachment from each other is painful to sit through, like a long spike gradually driven into our stomach and twisted in the third act. There is no happy ending. There's a pessimistic one, but not one that gives the audience any hope for the characters, or even themselves. The pokes at humanity and our invasive ways is a constant struggle to the lead character. It's unfortunate Nicolas Roeg wasn't given many opportunities like this, because he clearly knew what he was doing when it comes to character work. He did make The Witches though. Let's not understate that. We as humans don't agree with things that we aren't comfortable with. We wish to stay comfortable and away from what we don't like, whether it be a type of person or a type of tradition that we aren't used to. Bended like Backham may not seem highbrow or artistic on the surface, but at its core it's a riveting examination of how we think forward. The conflict in the characters having to decide whether to honour the past or enjoy the future builds the tension and intent behind every plot point and action. Everything is understood as we are brought through the lives of people who can't agree and those who can. It is doing so much with so little. Grow the fuck up and watch this movie. It is way better than you might think. Humour can bring us together, it can enrage us, and it can keep us engaged. Chaplin manages to do all three with flying colours. He attempts to bring down the serious walls that Hitler built around himself with the playful humour and shots that he gladly takes. To Chaplin, every man-child has a joke to fit him, and he never runs out when talking about Hitler. Even after he finishes his heart-throbbing speech, the audience feels like there is more to this statement, more to what he wishes to tell us. This is one of the greatest political statements ever put on screen, and Chaplin's finest work. It has received much more praise than the rest of these films, so I'm gonna skip over it quickly because I think more people have seen this one. Animation is the most powerful tool in filmmaking, and in a time when animated films are starting to resort to a repetitive style that they need to abide by to be respected, it's fantastic to see Isao Takahatta bringing a fresh new pencil and paper to the style. The way he paints these worlds, but more importantly, the way he portrays emotion and characterization, the anger, the sadness, it all feels so real, like we're watching real people and not drawings. And that is what makes a good movie, something that feels real. And for such a fantastical tale, the human elements shine through so bright that you're practically staring at the sun in awe. Takahatta's death just after the film's release hits that much harder considering the film's themes of life and death. And this is his staple piece, his final masterpiece, his gift to the world that we are glad to have. Rest in peace, man, you were a goddamn maestro. Growing up is hard, and the way we have to adapt to that new environment and situation is the way the animal in us takes over and our instincts become our ultimate decisions. Julia Ducournau's directorial debut, Raw, takes this and puts it to the max, in a disgusting and extreme way that burns itself into your brain and won't leave you until you die. The main character's in a glass box. Those glass walls are what slowly devolves over time as the aforementioned instincts take action and the true horrors of the human experience reveal themselves. It's a film with no villain. The villain is just the world that surrounds the characters. The mystery of these two girls is never fully explained, and the final shot of the film doubles the questions on the audience's mind as Ducournau steps away and leaves you astonished. I will never fully understand Raw, but I feel that Raw understands me. It understands more about the human experience than I ever will, and delivers that in a way only possible through film. It's the best directorial debut since Date Movie. And I think that is the 10. I strongly recommend you go watch all 10 of these movies, although some of them you might be a bit thick-skinned on, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I hope you all like them. If you didn't, then I'll get sad. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and peace out. See you later. Gang, see you later, brother. Cut that out. Please cut that out. Oh my god, that was so cringy.